Hello and welcome to the Local Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Johnson. The Local Leaders Podcast provides a platform for successful business owners to share their stories, their experiences, their advice, and their ideas in order to help our listeners achieve more success in their business and in their lives. Get ready, another great show is coming up. Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Local Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Johnson, and I am super excited to be talking with Tim Halls today out of Plano, Texas. Tim has a business called Burnt BBQ and Tacos, and I want to welcome you to the Local Leaders Podcast today, Tim. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks, Jeff. This is a great pleasure to be on here.
Well, we like I said, we love to be able to share great ideas and strategies and things that successful entrepreneurs like yourself are doing with our listeners, to give them ideas and inspiration, or whatever it is that they might need to find more success. And that's the goal of our podcast. So I'd love to start out and just have you, Tim, share a little bit about the business, what it's all about, Burnt BBQ and Tacos.
Absolutely. So, buddy of mine, we met in culinary school 25 years ago in Scottsdale, and he opened a food truck. Oh, I think it was 2016, and he's like, "Oh, Tim, you got to come on board with me. I'm going to do a fish truck." Like, oh, I don't know. It was kind of heavy. I just started working at a meat market, and long story short here, I finally jumped on board because he kept pestering me. And we basically morphed into several different restaurants. He owns, it's called Doc Local, lobster rolls, fish tacos, shrimp. It's great food. And we opened a regular restaurant, 2019. There was a place called Legacy Food Hall. They had pretty big around here. Had called us before we even opened those doors, wanted us to go in there. So I ran that, the food hall, while he ran the other store. And of course, we opened that food hall the minute everything shut down for the pandemic. So March of 2020, there's 4 of us in the food hall making all these meal kits, trying to survive and help feed families. And so, and I've always been the barbecue guy. So we slung barbecue on the food trucks with the fish and everything else. And so we started doing all these meal kits. People were loving it. And lo and behold, we started talking, hey, let's open a barbecue restaurant. But we also wanted to bring kind of back our roots, because we met in Scottsdale in culinary school. We're like, hey, let's bring some of that, because be a little bit different. So we have a big mural of Scottsdale, the Camelback Mountains in the restaurant. We brought like the Navajo fry bread that nobody in this area sells a taco like that. So it's ginormous. And we just wanted to do something a little bit different, but do my style of cooking. So I have a whole line of my own barbecue rubs I've been making for years. I have a barbecue sauce that I've won, I don't know how many awards for, over time. And so we're doing more of my style that makes people come in and be consistent. And it's, I couldn't be happier. Kind of a short story there.
No, that's okay, because everybody has kind of that startup story and how they got into it and kind of how they came along, and it's great to have a partner in crime, to be there with you. You guys are kind of doing it together and bringing the things from culinary school, over to Plano, Texas, and so far you've really done well and been able to find success. And it's just awesome to kind of hear how people began and of course also where they're going. But you guys have been really creative as well in terms of, and I just call them revenue sources,
right?
Of kind of what you've done with the business. And it's a great template, I think, for other entrepreneurs, restaurateurs out there who are looking to grow. I think the biggest mistake sometimes people make is to add locations too quickly when you haven't necessarily maximized the revenue from within.
Exactly.
You guys have a great template for that. So tell us a little about, that retail business and some of the other things that you're doing from a growth perspective.
So we've been open literally a year and 2 weeks. And, the first thing we brought in, obviously, is the third-party apps, because at the time, it was right at the end of the pandemic. Yep. When people are starting to go back into a little bit in the restaurants. So we started off with Uber Eats, the third-party apps, because we couldn't deliver everything because, with staffing issues.
Yeah.
So we started off with Uber. We eventually added DoorDash and Grubhub. We don't do a whole lot of business with them. I think it's just the area we live in. But the DoorDash, or I'm sorry, the Uber Eats is about a third of our business, especially when we run promotions and stuff like that. But it does drive sales into our store. Mm-hmm. We have a website that we built. You can order off that. It's kind of a unique thing. I don't think I told you this before, but we actually have a delivery app with that, with DoorDash, so they can order off our website, and for like $5, DoorDash will deliver it for us. So it's kind of a separate thing on there. I just started with it's called Easy Caterer. I haven't done any catering off it yet, but that's another avenue for us for me to get my catering menu out. Mm-hmm. So those are the biggest things. And then we're also doing, one of the things we do at Burnt is I'm also commissarying for my friend's Doc Local business. So we're doing, we're making like all his sauces, pickles. So we do everything scratch. So there's nothing that we bring in that we don't make ourselves. And so we're making all the mac sauce, mac and cheese sauce for him and us. And then our brisket queso, or the queso, we do a pepper jack queso. That's really good. And then a few other things. But we also started a ghost kitchen. So he just opened a ghost kitchen, and it has Burnt in there. So it's a smaller menu. So we supply, actually he has it in 2 locations. He has it in the main location and the new ghost kitchen that's in Farmers Branch. And that's just taken off. And then I just signed a contract with, it's called All Day Kitchens, and they're based out of Chicago. And we'll be doing, it's a little bit different template. So like the ghost kitchen that Brett has is he has to man the kitchens, staff them, does everything, buy the equipment, everything. All Day Kitchens, they actually build the kitchens, staff the kitchens, and make the food. But we do it more at a wholesale cost, I guess the word would be. Mm-hmm. So we're basically splitting the costs. So they will, they man the kitchens, they do the marketing, and then they sell the food to our specs. So they make it exactly how we determine it between the two of us, and then it goes out to the door to the customers. Now it is a smaller menu, like I think it's like 4 or 5 items on the menu plus some sides, but it will drive people to come back. If they want to try the whole menu, they'll drive back to our restaurant. So it's a win-win situation no matter how you look at it. But it also will put my brand out without me having to expand on all the intricate stuff, behind the scenes stuff of like staffing and payroll and all that stuff. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Now, are they going to be dropping those, those restaurants, those locations in Plano, or will it be in and around Texas? Or
yeah. So the first 3 that they're going to be opening are actually strategically placed in different areas, downtown Dallas, and the other 2, one's in Farmers Branch, but it's like right by one of the big malls. So where there's a lot of people at, and then another one in Frisco, which is about 20, 30 minutes north of us. So it's in different areas. So it targets the most, target rich people in that area. So where they'll get more orders from, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's nice that they're in a general vicinity of where you are, because you're basically wholesaling to them. So you got the whole logistics piece, and the closer the better. Exactly. Comes to that.
So that without revealing a whole bunch of their secrets, which I'm not supposed to do, but what the cool thing is they give me a PO for what they need for the week for each kitchen, and then we do a key drop. So we get everything together for them, put it all in the packaging. Guy comes and picks it up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then they distribute it to the stores. So I don't have to deliver nothing. So it makes it super easy.
Yeah.
So, and then they'll just, when they need more stuff, they'll send me another PO. So
gotta love that. Just getting those POs in and hopefully counting money. And I'm just curious. I'm sure you've done it in your head or on paper or whatever. At some point, this is a means of mitigating some of those cost issues that we've got today with food costs, because that's been a tremendously challenging thing for all restaurant owners. And essentially, you're just driving volume to hopefully pull down or push down those prices.
Exactly.
Do you have a goal in mind? Is the volume? Is it a 5% reduction in food cost? Any idea what you'll end up at?
I
know that's a tough question too.
I know that the goal is with all day kitchens is to make 5 to 15% or about 10 to 15% profit by the time that you're done. But it gives us a little bit more leverage. But right now, there's really no leverage with when we first opened last year with just for brisket alone, I was paying like $2.67 a pound. And right now, when I put my order in this morning, it was $4.68 a pound.
Yeah.
For brisket. For brisket, right? So I'm hoping that it will get but it's all portion control. And then the nice thing with this is we are the ones who are in control of all that. So it's not like, that's my fear with if you franchise, because everybody's like, oh, I'm going to franchise. I'll never franchise anything, because I've been involved in companies before that has franchise, and then you get there and they're like, well, how come you're making this? Or what do you, there's no control, they're like, well, I just wanted to do something different. Like, well, then open your own restaurant, not a franchise.
Yeah.
But so this gives us the control. We control the costs on everything. So I'm hoping to reduce at least 5% to get, to make more profit.
Yeah. You're already, that whole ghost kitchen or wholesale concept is going to drive additional revenue with profit on the end, hopefully in the, like you said, 10 to 15% range. You've got minimal risk. Actually, you don't have a whole lot of risk at all. You don't have to buy a building or rent a building. You're not hiring employees, dealing with staff. It's pretty turnkey. So I think it's a great idea for our listeners out there who are looking for ways to expand revenues and get their name out or their brand out. Like you said, it's kind of almost like a free ride.
Yeah.
And I know it's not, but you know what I'm saying.
There's work involved.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm very blessed. I have a great staff. I've just added another chef onto my work line. And so it's gonna be able to free us up to make everything that we need to for the restaurant. For Brett's his name is Brett Kurtz, by the way, my business partner, for Brett's Kitchens, and for the new all day kitchen stuff. So I have basically three prep cooks that can put everything together without having to spend the extra labor for it too. So I'm leveraging my labor, which is good, because it's amazing how it's hard to find people that want to really work and do the job. Yeah. And I've been very blessed with the managers I do have, or the manager. She does an awesome job, and I'm lucky because half her family works for me too.
That's a great benefit, and hopefully it's a benefit because family owned, family run
exactly.
businesses can bring additional challenges. We actually talked about that a few times on the podcast about the challenges around family businesses, but
it does. It's people, especially here in Plano, we're like the corporate center for everything now.
Mm-hmm.
And people are used to working corporate. I've never worked corporate. I've always worked for families, and I prefer that because I think it gives you can personalize things a little bit more. It's a little bit more relaxed, but we still have a job to do. It's still my life on the line and my reputation of I don't want to I'm saying this wrong. I need to keep our status where we're at and grow from there, because that's what's helping us. Our reviews, our 5-star reviews and everything else that makes a difference in what we do.
Well, you're exactly right, and it can be a blessing and it can be a curse. It just kind of depends on how you run things, and it's good that everything's working out for you, because staffing has been a tremendous challenge in the industry, really in every industry today, but especially on the restaurant side. So right now, would you say you're pretty staffed up then in terms of the overall business?
Yeah, for the most part. I could probably use another cashier here and there. I have a couple kids that are in high school that work for me, and they do a really good job. And we're at a point now where I'm the cashier most of the time, but then that's how we create business too. So I get to talk to the guests, learn about them, get to know them, and the customer base that we've built in this last year is unreal. I mean, it just know everybody. If I don't remember their name, I know what food they get, because everybody's a creature of habit, and those people are coming back because they're telling friends that are telling friends, and that's how you grow a good business.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. It's the old word of mouth, and I'm always talking about social media now is the word of mouth marketing. And that's a whole other topic. Maybe we could talk about in a few minutes. But before I get there, I wanted to ask about the rubs and sauces, because you are retailing those now. Is that accurate?
And yes, I have my barbecue sauce I've been making basically ever since culinary school. I was reluctant for a very long time about, I'm not going to sell it. It's going to be too much work or whatever. And I had a friend talk me into it. So I started it. The friendship kind of went weird. And so I told my wife, I said, I'm just going to do it on my own. Actually went into the fair, because the Texas fair is huge for Dallas. And so the Texas Department of Agriculture puts on has a shop in the State Fair of Texas every year, and so you can sell your wares, or sell your sauces and rubs and everything else, and then you taste them and everything. Well, the first year that we went in there, after I was getting it commercially made, Central Market, which is huge here in Texas, it's owned by HEB. They all came through, their buyers came through and said, "Oh my God, we love this sauce. We need to have it in our store." So I started selling it in Central Market, which is like a foodies market. So it is, they help you sell it. You go in there and sample it. And so I had it in there probably about 2 or 3 years. And that's what I did I quit my one job because I was working out at an alcohol and drug rehab center as their chef. I quit that job, and that's what I did for a year. I went around just to Central Market and demoed my barbecue sauce.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of barbecue sauce. The only problem is these grocery stores, the margins are terrible. And so you don't make any money really doing it. And so unless you sell a lot of it. We sold a lot of it, but not enough anyways. And my sauce, I can't ever do anything simple. It's a very complicated. I think there's 16 different ingredients in this barbecue sauce that we make. And it just got really expensive to make it. So I literally stopped making it for about 3 years. But out of that, I was making rubs too. So I have 3 different rubs that I've come across, that I've developed recipes for. I still have those commercially made here locally. And when I was demoing, or when I was doing the R&D, and I took it to this company, and they're called Selective Seasonings. They're unbelievable people to work with, and they're in Arlington. And they, the one guy that did all the blends, he looked at me one day and says, "Tim," he says, "this is the best rub." He says, "I've done a ton of rubs. People come in and say, 'Oh, I have the best brisket rub,' or 'I have the best this.' And he says, 'I have never tasted anything like this.' He says, 'You will go places with this rub.'" And so, and this is my my coffee rub that I have for my brisket. And so, anyways, I have 3 different rubs that we sell. I used to be in like 40 different stores, mom and pop stores, Central Market, all over Texas. And it just got to a point where unless you were going in there and demoing it and people were tasting it to take home or to try it and say, "Oh, I love it," and take it home. Otherwise, it just sits on a shelf. So it just got to a point where I just kind of cut back. I have it on my website, and I have it in one of the meat markets that I used to work at.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't sell a ton of it, but the people that know it, I ship it all over the country, even overseas.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you told me about that one, the coffee rub, which was unique and certainly sounds different. But just because I've neglected to do it earlier, let me shout out the website name, because you can find these rubs and I'm assuming some sauces as well on the website at www.burntbbqandtacos.com. It's burntbarbecueandtacos.com. For those that are listening and not watching, please check it out. Order some rubs. Let's get this party started, and get this wonderful recipe out to people all over the country. And how did you come up with a coffee rub?
Well, I watch a lot of shows on TV, food shows and stuff like that. Not as much anymore. I don't have a lot of time, but I always get a lot of different ideas just from watching YouTube or whatever else out there. When I first started doing barbecue 25 years ago, can't tell you now how many briskets I burned up and how many weird recipes I came up with. And, but that's when brisket was 99 cents a pound. So it didn't really matter that much.
Yeah.
But just trial and error. I do everything on flavors I like. I'm not a spicy guy. I've always called myself a flavor chef, not I love different flavors, and there's so many different flavors out there, and it doesn't have to be spicy. I don't like it when my ears ring. So, but I just put some different things together. My first rub that I did, I'll back up a second. My first rub that I did is my barbecue citrus rub. And that is it's a dry version of my barbecue. So it has almost everything in there that would be in my barbecue sauce. So it goes hand in hand. So I can use the dry rub, like on my ribs, when I do the ribs at the restaurant. You get the rub on the ribs, they go on the smoker. When they're almost done, we glaze them with barbecue sauce. When we go to heat the ribs up for service, another glaze of barbecue sauce goes on, another side of rub goes on the top. And then when we serve them, another little slathering of sauce, and we finish it with the rub. So you get like 3 layers of that
Wow.
flavor all the way through. And people, I had my fire inspection yesterday for the my Venahood stuff, and it's a former police officer. He's a police officer that comes out and does it. That helps his brother out, and he's like, "Man, those ribs look so good." So I gave him a rib, and he looked at me and goes, "I have never had a rib like this. This is." I mean, he was just like, "Oh my God!" He couldn't stop talking about it. It was so cool. And so just to see the wow factor that comes across from the flavors that come out of our rubs. So anyways, that I have that one. That one has 16 different herbs and spices in there. And then the coffee rub, and I have a butcher's grind rub. Well, the butcher's grind rub is the same rub as the coffee, just doesn't have any coffee in it. But and I start off with everything in my rubs is granular. So you don't get any weird dust in there. There's no MSG, no gluten or anything in there. But it's all granular. So it's like salt and pepper, garlic, oregano, there's ancho chili, and a little bit of lemon. So then on the coffee, we just add coffee to it. So, and it doesn't matter. When I was R&D and everything, I tried the fancy coffee, I tried flavored coffee, I tried Folgers coffee. Doesn't matter. You don't taste the coffee in it. All it does is bring out that umami out of the brisket or whatever you're cooking with. And you can use all my rubs on anything you want, basically. I've had people put the citrus rub on popcorn and make margaritas with the rim around the margaritas with it. So there's so many different things, and we make a dip and everything else. So, but
yeah, that sounds good. You're making me hungry, Tim.
Well, I'll have to send you some just so you can try it out.
That sounds awesome. And yeah, I'm on your website now, just kind of rolling through. You've done it beautifully as well. It's really nicely done. Did you use who'd you use for your website, or who built your website?
We use Wix, and actually Brett, my business partner, he built it. But I'll tell you what, my 67, well, she's 17 now, 17-year-old cashier just redid it for me. She's like, "Well, I've done websites before." I'm like, "Here, have at it." I just told her what to put on there. So it makes it a little bit easier. There's still some things we need to tweak on there, but I'm happy with it. It looks really good. So
yeah, well, it does what it's intended to do, and gives access to people all over the country to be able to get to you, to place orders, to see what's on the menu. So again, I want to encourage everyone that's listening, Burnt BBQ and Tacos.com, to get a flavor of what Tim and his team is doing. So looks really good. And while we're on the website topic, let me ask you about marketing. Are you most restaurant owners are primarily utilizing Facebook and Instagram. Yep. Yeah. Is that kind of what you're doing as well? And any other things that are working?
Yeah, Brett, he hired a lady to do all his Instagram stuff. He was doing it all on his own. I am not a tech guy. I'm more of the old school something. I don't know what you call me, but if I take a picture, it takes me 30 minutes to figure out how to put it on, with all the little stuff to put on there.
Yeah.
But anyways, we hired a lady to do some stuff. He was doing some stuff with him, and then he brought her over to do Burnt stuff. Well, we've gotten big enough now that we're actually going with a marketing company that's gonna literally, help blow us up even more. So I've found over time that you have to, if you don't have Instagram or Facebook or any type of social media, you're not gonna see any return. So we did a couple different. Let me back up. I have found that these bloggers that come in on these foodie people, I thought I was a foodie. I mean, these people are unbelievable. I mean, I had a guy come in a couple weeks ago, and we didn't really touch on our Navajo fry bread that we do. It's been written up in several different magazines since we've opened, and I'll send you a picture of it, or you probably see a picture of it on the website. But he came in and got 3 different ones of those. I'm now making a Cuban. My monthly special this month is a Cuban sandwich made with our fry bread. And so we use our roasted garlic pulled pork in there, and our smoked ham, and Swiss cheese, a little brown mustard, and then we press it between our fry bread. And he sent another guy in yesterday, and this guy I went and asked him, I said, so what do you think? He said, dude, I'm from Tampa. He says, I'm from Cuban sandwich country. He says, I've never had anything like this. That's probably the best sandwich I've ever had in my entire life. And so just to hear that was like that. And my parents live in the Tampa area, so I've had the Cubans down there, and they're good. They're really good. But yeah, we just bring a little bit different to people. But it's all social media that's bringing them all in, you know. And so.
And then, so how often are you posting? Are you doing a daily thing, or?
I try. I actually. I repost a lot of stuff because like this morning I had somebody send me in that was in a couple weeks ago and sent me in a reel that they did. So I just reposted on the website. But this new company will be using, they'll be posting a couple times a week for us. And then I told them, you know, besides our barbecue, you know, since we are very unique with like the fry bread stuff, I said, that's going to be my focus for sales this year. Just because it is so unique, and it'll drive people in to try other things as well.
It's always interesting to kind of see and hear and watch what people are doing, and you know how basically Facebook and Instagram has become the marketing arm for the company. You want to drive people to the website, you want to drive traffic into the store and drive orders, and so I'm excited for you guys, because I'm sure it's really gonna help, and that actually makes me think back to to your licensing deal, with it just left me the name of the company. I know you said it twice. All Day Kitchens. And will they be marketing themselves as well, or will you guys kind of be pushing that brand?
So they have their own marketing department that does all the marketing. They don't only drive marketing for themselves, but they also drive marketing for our website. So it'll drive people back in the restaurant, because it is just like I said, like a 4 or 5 item menu. So if they want to try the whole menu, bring them in to the store. But yeah, they drive all that. They put that on their website, and then they'll also attach piggyback onto ours as well. And they do a fair amount of, from what I've seen, they do a fair amount of Instagram stuff as well.
Yeah,
the nice thing is I've been finding too is, people they'll drive from wherever just to try barbecue. And I mean, it's huge here in Texas. People come from all over, but I did have a lady in there yesterday. Said, "Oh, I didn't know you had Burnt in Farmers Branch at our other ghost kitchen." I said, "Yes." And she goes, "Well, I live in that area." I said, "So I don't have to go to this other place. I can come get something from you." I said, "Absolutely." So people like stuff, it's like that whole Starbucks thing. People want stuff in their neighborhoods. They don't want to have to drive very far to go and get good barbecue or good food, period.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And we're all, as consumers, we get lazy, and with since COVID, we've all gotten used to the takeout and the delivery and everything being simple and easy and close. I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. And while we were talking, I just popped over to the catering piece on your website. I see it's on Easy Cater. breakfast tacos. I'm just going to throw out a couple things. Barbecue sandwich box lunches, taco box lunches. You got even the small and large family meal packages, which is awesome.
We sell a lot. We sell a lot of those.
Yeah, I love that idea because who wants to cook anymore, right?
Exactly.
So again, they've got the small and the large family meal packages, barbecue sides package, tacos, a la carte. Oh my God, it just keeps going on. There's some jalapeno citrus slaw. Man, that's a good looking food. It's getting close to lunchtime up here in North Carolina, so it's making me hungry. It looks like you got everything covered. I mean, that's a full menu on the catering side.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I keep adding stuff because every time I add something, people are like love it so much. They're like that Cuban. He was like, "Well, I know it's a monthly special. You might have to keep that on there." I said,
Yeah, you
"Yeah,
might
that's
have to
kind
throw
of
that in the menu.
that's how it happens." It's how
Yeah.
my banana pudding. My that was my special in August. It's still on the menu because I had a lady threaten me if I took it off.
Oh man, who doesn't love? Yeah, who doesn't love banana pudding? That sounds awesome. But yeah, so if you haven't checked out the catering, side, be sure that you do because there's a full menu here of awesome choices and options from box lunches to family meals and another great way to drive revenue for the business. And again, just to shoot on, I just want to recap for all those listening. You got the brick and mortar with the real heavy, kind of delivery takeout type model. But you do have some dining inside. Is that correct?
Yes, I have. I can sit up to 20 people.
Okay. All right.
I've had 26, but it's tight. So I mean, we did this because of COVID.
Yep.
So we did it as a to-go restaurant.
Yep.
So we weren't even going to put chairs in there. We were just going to put like a stand-up bar so you can have a taco for lunch. But we did find a good price on some tables, and now I got people saying, "Hey, when are you going to get a bigger spot?" I'm like, "Well, you pay my lease for the next 4 years, and we'll put it." But I have a good friend of mine that he makes all his own teas and everything, and he has a store literally right across the parking lot. So he just opened another section where you can fit almost, I think he told me yesterday, up to 89 people in this spot.
Oh wow!
So I can rent if I ever have a party that wants to come in, he'll rent that out to me.
Nice.
At a pretty good cost.
So you can handle large events and kind of catered functions right there across the street from your location in Plano. But just again recapping, you got the brick and mortar, which is built as a to-go store, but you do have some seating. You got the sauce and rubs retail business. You got the commissary kitchen that you're doing for Brett. Licensing with with the food company that's going to expand your brand, to multiple locations there in Texas. Catering, you got the catering side of the business. Man, you got your hands full.
After you just spelled it out, I'm like, holy mackerel, I'm busy.
Yeah, you are. And is your wife in the business?
No. Well, she works for Pepsi, but she's more on the IT side of it. So, but she's really retired. So she's like, you need to take the ball with this now, and so I can sit back and do nothing. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Nice. So that's what we're working towards. So.
Yeah, good for you.
This year will be good. I think we got our customer base, and now it's time to rock and roll. So we got the things in place early, and I'm looking forward to this next year.
Well, you've got a ton going on, so I hate to even ask the question of as we kind of wrap this thing up. I just looked at the clock; it's getting on in time. What's next? Are you going to do another brick and mortar? Are you going to kind of ride all these different pieces that you've already got in play for the next little bit? Any set plans yet?
No, we're gonna ride out this this all day kitchen thing because that can morph into more stores throughout Texas. The only thing that we did talk, and we actually had the plan to do it, but it fell through, was to go in a food hall, go in a legacy food hall with our stuff. But the contract didn't work out. So
Yeah.
if I were to do something else, it'd probably be in like a food hall situation, just with staffing and overhead and everything else. It's a little bit easier to accomplish that way. But I don't have a desire. Well, let me back up. I am looking at doing like a food truck situation. So, because I get phone calls on a weekly basis. Hey, do you have a food truck? Hey, do you have a trailer? We have an event. So, and then there's events that we did when we did have the food truck for the dock. So it's kind of one of those things where we'd share. So we do half seafood, half barbecue in for future. So that would be my next venture is to get something in that situation, so we can expand that way, back into society, back into whatever event situations.
Yeah. It's a lot of people start out, especially on the barbecue business, with a truck or trailer or pull behind or whatever, and start their businesses that way. And you can also go the other way. You've got the brick and mortar already in place, but there are opportunities, if you've got a mobile kitchen, basically, that you can, grow your business that way as well. So
I started slinging barbecue at farmers markets a year back, and I did for a summer. That was kind of a beating. I mean, it was good. I mean, people love the barbecue, but just go set up, cook at a commissary, set up everything every weekend. It was a lot of work. So, but just to tip your toe in it, just see what's going on. It's good.
Yeah. And you have to make investments with the truck and trailer and everything else.
Exactly.
And it's not like it's free or anything, but it is
free.
It is less expensive. But better than the whole brick and mortar route when you're just trying a new concept or new idea. And
exactly.
Dipping your toe in, as you said, a great way to get started for our listeners out there who are getting hungry and thinking about, what they might want to do next. So, man, Tim, I'll tell you what, you made me tired just looking at all that you got going on. But I'm excited for you guys. Yeah, well, on behalf of our listeners and on, all of us over here at the Local Leaders Podcast, we want to thank you for taking time to be on the show today. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to mention or talk about as we wrap this thing up?
I think we covered everything.
We covered a lot of ground, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, it's just, I think the biggest thing about all this is just having the passion to do it. I remember when like we were maybe a month into this and my wife asked me, because I was exhausted. I mean, I was working 6 a.m. till midnight for about 3 weeks, and she goes, well, is it worth it? I said, I tell you what, I said, it's a lot of work. I said, but I see people eat and enjoy my food and have that wow factor. You can't beat any of it. That just be able to try my food and they come back for more. That's the best part of this.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're exactly right. It's a labor of passion, and it's everybody. A lot of people often say don't jump in for the money because it is a hard business. But if you haven't seen much of that
yet, but we're getting there.
Yeah, well, it takes time. It takes time to build it. It takes time to perfect, everything that you're doing and get everything locked down. But again, Burnt BBQ and Tacos in Plano, Texas is doing great things. And Tim Halls and his team, are growing and building and putting their hands into a lot of different areas to try and grow the business. And, we look forward to seeing everything that you do in the future. And I just want to thank you, Tim, for coming on the show today and sharing with our listeners. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jeff.
It's a pleasure having you. And for all our listeners, thanks for joining us for another episode of the Local Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Johnson. We look forward to watching you grow your restaurant and talking to you soon. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.